What if WWE bought TNA in 2009? Before Hogan and Bischoff arrived, before the company's direction changed forever, during a time when TNA's roster was the strongest it had ever been. How would a WWE-branded cross-promotional event take shape, and what dream matches could we expect? This is WWE versus TNA.
Cross the line.
The opening match of Cross the Line set the tone for the whole night, a battle between two monsters cut from the same cloth, but raised in different worlds. Kane, WWE's embodiment of destruction, stood across from TNA's own monster of chaos, Abyss. For years, fans compared the two, and tonight that debate was finally settled in the most fitting environment imaginable, a monster's ball. This wasn't about technique or pacing, it was about dominance, aura, and legacy. The kind of match where every weapon scattered across the floor became a symbol of which brand could go darker, dig deeper, and walk out standing. Both companies needed this win for different reasons. WWE needed to make an early statement, to show they weren't stepping into TNA's territory unprepared. TNA needed validation. In the end, it was Kane who emerged from the wreckage. One devastating chokeslam through a table sealed the deal, earning the first point of the night for WWE. With that, the tone was set. WWE 1, TNA 0. A brutal beginning, and a warning that survival in this war would come at a heavy cost. The second match of the night took the rivalry beyond company pride. This was about eras. On one side stood legacy, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and the son of the $1 Million Man, the self-proclaimed future of WWE. On the other, the main event Mafia, Booker T, Scott Steiner, and Kevin Nash, men who once defined an era, all former members of the NWO, reunited under one banner to defend TNA's legacy. This wasn't just WWE versus TNA. This was the legend killers versus the legends themselves. The weeks leading up to Cross the Line were charged with tension. The Mafia carried themselves like kings, veterans demanding respect. Legacy wanted to burn that legacy to the ground. Steiner added another layer of intrigue before the show even began, promising that before the night was over, a WWE star would jump ship and join the main event Mafia. That statement hung over the entire match like a dark cloud, leaving everyone questioning who he could be talking about. What followed was a generational clash, experience and arrogance colliding head-on. Legacy fought with precision, trying to take the veterans out permanently. The Mafia relied on power, presence, and intimidation. Randy Orton struck, delivering a brutal punt kick to Kevin Nash that ended the match decisively. Legacy secured the victory, giving WWE a commanding 2-0 lead in the series. The main event Mafia was left stunned. The once untouchable legends brought down by the very kind of men they once inspired. And while WWE celebrated another victory, Steiner's earlier promise still lingered in the background, a reminder that this battle wasn't just being fought in the ring, it was being played behind the scenes as well. The third match of Cross the Line raised the stakes even higher. Tag team titles from both worlds on the line. Winner takes all. WWE's Unified Tag Team Champions, Chris Jericho and Big Show, collectively known as Jeri-show, stood across from TNA's most decorated pairing, Beer Money, the duo of James Storm and Robert Roode. Heading into the match, few gave Beer Money much of a chance. On paper, Jericho and Big Show were too experienced, too powerful in the eyes of management, and too ruthless. But in matches like this, momentum can swing in an instant. Against all expectations, Beer Money delivered the performance of their careers. They survived the mind games, weathered the size disadvantage, and stayed locked in as a unit. When the dust settled, it was Robert Roode who caught Chris Jericho off guard, turning opportunity into history. WWE's commanding lead was shaken, and for the first time that night, TNA had something to celebrate. Beer Money's win not only put them on the map globally, it kept their brand alive in the battle for survival. WWE 2, TNA 1. The tide had started to turn. The fourth match of the night brought together two divisions that defined fast-paced wrestling for their respective companies. WWE's Intercontinental Champion, Rey Mysterio, versus TNA's X-Division Champion, Homicide. Both men carried the weight of innovation on their shoulders, representing the spirit of athleticism that bridged the gap between cruiserweights and world champions. For WWE, Rey Mysterio had long been the heart of the underdog story, a symbol of perseverance and global appeal. For TNA, Homicide embodied the edge and attitude of the X Division, unpredictable and somewhat reckless. It was a meeting of styles, philosophies, and pride. Homicide didn't come alone. His LAX tag team partner, Hernandez, stood in his corner, bringing an ever-present element of heavyweight danger. His involvement at ringside constantly threatened to tilt the balance, his presence serving as both a distraction and a statement that TNA would do whatever it took to keep its champions intact. But Mysterio thrived under pressure. Every moment of interference only seemed to sharpen his focus. The Intercontinental Champion weathered the chaos, adapting the way only Rey Mysterio can, turning speed and timing into his greatest weapons. In the end, Rey broke through. One perfectly timed 619 sealed the match. earning Mysterio the victory and the X Division Championship. With that win, WWE extended its lead once again, now 3-1 in the series. The women's division took center stage in the 5th match of the night, a clash of image, attitude, and influence. WWE's Divas champion, Michelle McCool, accompanied by Layla, represented Lay Cool, the self-proclaimed standard of beauty and dominance in WWE. Across the ring stood TNA's Knockouts champion, Angelina Love, flanked by Velvet Sky. The Beautiful People, TNA's most iconic and controversial duo. It wasn't just a title-for-title match. It was a battle between two parallel acts, skewed mirror images from different worlds, each believing they defined what the women's division should be. Lay Cool delivered arrogance, while The Beautiful People embodied rebellion and glamour. The atmosphere was tense, both teams constantly trying to outshine and outsmart the other. With all the gold on the line, it became as much about status as it was about championships. The turning point came when an unexpected face from TNA's past re-emerged. Cute Kip, the former roadie for The Beautiful People, made his return, creating the distraction that shifted the balance. Amid the chaos, Angelina Love capitalized, pinning Michelle McCool to win the match and capture the Divas Championship. The result sent shockwaves through the event. The Beautiful People stood tall, holding both the Knockouts and Divas Championships high, a defiant symbol that TNA's women were more than equal to WWE's. The score tightened once again. Momentum had begun to swing back in TNA's favor, and with Steiner's earlier promise still hanging over the night, the tension across both locker rooms continued to build. The 6th match of the night was a throwback to the Attitude Days, a tables, ladders, and chairs match featuring the long-awaited reunion of Edge and Christian against TNA's high-octane duo, the Motor City Machine Guns. The prize hanging above the ring, a contract guaranteeing #1 contendership for the Unified Tag Team Championships. For WWE, the reunion of Edge and Christian was more than nostalgia. It was a tailor-made strategy, a reminder that when the stakes are high, no one plays the game better than the masters of TLC. For TNA, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley represented Evolution, the next generation of tag team wrestling. The match symbolized a passing of the torch that neither side was willing to accept. Edge and Christian fought with veteran instinct, relying on cunning, while the machine guns countered with breathtaking speed. Each team pushed the other beyond their limits in an environment where pain was simply part of the language. When the dust finally settled, it was Edge who climbed the ladder through the wreckage and unhooked the briefcase, securing the contract and the victory for WWE. The win gave WWE a 4-2 lead in the series, but it did more than just extend the scoreboard. For WWE, it was another step closer to absorbing everything TNA had built. The night of survival was nearing its breaking point, and the promised defection still loomed over everything. The 7th match of Cross the Line brought two of wrestling's most polarizing figures face to face, Triple H versus Jeff Jarrett, two men forever associated with creative control. Each carried the reputation of a reign of terror. Triple H in WWE, Jarrett in TNA. Both had built empires around themselves. Both had ruled their respective worlds by burying upcoming talent. This wasn't about brand loyalty or championships. It was about ego and legacy, a battle between two self-made kings, each seeing his reflection in the other. When the bell rang, there was no posturing, no drawn-out chess match, just two veterans testing who still held the throne. But for all Jarrett's experience, this night belonged to the game. Triple H wasted no time asserting his dominance, keeping it decisive and deliberate. One well-timed pedigree ended it in under 5 minutes. Clean, emphatic, and final. The result gave WWE yet another victory, pushing the score to 5-2. For WWE, it was the exclamation point of authority. For TNA, it was a sobering reminder that their foundations, their supposed pillars, were beginning to crumble. The 8th match of Cross the Line was the kind of encounter fans never thought they'd see, a meeting of eras, styles, and philosophies. Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, representing the art and emotion of WWE's grandest stage, versus AJ Styles, the face of TNA, the man who carried an entire company on his back. It was teacher versus successor, the icon of one generation against the defining talent of the next. Both men built their legacies on storytelling through motion. Every move deliberate, every risk calculated, every moment meant to resonate. For AJ Styles, this match wasn't just another fight, it was validation. For years, he had carried the TNA banner on his shoulders, earning respect through performance, but often fighting for recognition beyond that company's walls. Facing Shawn Michaels meant something different. It meant standing across from a man who defined greatness in the eyes of WWE, the measuring stick for what it means to be a main event player. When it ended emphatically. AJ Styles soared through the air, connecting with a perfect springboard 450 splash to score the biggest victory of his career. The win brought the score to WWE 5, TNA 3, but more importantly, it restored TNA's heartbeat. Styles didn't just win a match, he proved that TNA's top stars could hang with, and even surpass, the absolute best WWE had to offer. Momentum had shifted once again, and with Steiner's earlier warning still echoing, the night's balance of power felt more uncertain than ever. The ninth match of Cross the Line brought championship gold into the war. John Cena, WWE Champion, facing Samoa Joe, the leader of TNA's Nation of Violence. This wasn't just a title defense, it was a test of survival. Cena, the face of WWE's discipline and determination, stepping into the storm of Joe's brutality. Two dominant forces colliding from opposite philosophy. From the opening moments, the tone was different, heavier, more personal. Samoa Joe didn't come to out-wrestle John Cena, he came to break him. Every strike was a statement, a reminder that Joe had made a career out of dismantling those who underestimated him. Cena, as always, endured. He absorbed the punishment, found resolve in the chaos, and kept fighting forward, the embodiment of WWE's never give up mantra. After a grueling battle that pushed both men to their limits, Cena found his opening. With sheer willpower, he hoisted Joe onto his shoulders and delivered an attitude adjustment from the top rope, sealing the victory and retaining the WWE Championship. The result extended WWE's lead to 6-3, putting them within reach of total dominance. But even in defeat, Samoa Joe left his mark, forcing Cena to dig deeper than he had all night. The 10th match of the night was the dream encounter fans had waited their entire lives to see. The Undertaker versus Sting, the Phenom versus the Icon, darkness against darkness, WWE's immortal force standing across from TNA's vigilante soul. For one night, fantasy became reality. The weight of this match extended far beyond the scoreboard. It was about two men who defined eras, who carried their companies on their backs through decades of change. The atmosphere was unlike anything else that night. A silent respect filled the arena as these two legends stood face to face, symbols of mystique and longevity. But overshadowing the dream match was Scott Steiner's cryptic promise that a WWE superstar would defect and join the main event Mafia before the night was through. The question lingered with every moment of the match. Who would it be? The answer came in shocking fashion. Batista appeared at ringside, seemingly to support his WWE ally, but in a stunning betrayal, he turned on The Undertaker, hoisting him high and driving him through the commentary table with a devastating powerbomb. The crowd was left speechless as Sting took advantage of the situation, returning The Undertaker to the ring and finishing the job, scoring the victory in one of the most shocking moments of the night. The win closed the gap to WWE 6, TNA 4, but it wasn't just a point for TNA, it was a power shift. Batista's defection to the main event Mafia changed everything. The group that began the night fractured and fading now stood revitalized, united, and dangerous. The war between WWE and TNA was no longer just about competition, it had become personal. The war between WWE and TNA came down to one final battle: CM Punk, WWE's World Heavyweight Champion, versus Kurt Angle, TNA's World Heavyweight Champion. The scoreboard read WWE 6, TNA 4, meaning the night's fate was already sealed. WWE had technically won the war, but this match was about far more than numbers. It was about the balance of control that would define what came next. Punk entered as the embodiment of the WWE's new era, the voice of the voiceless, a champion who defied systems and carved his own path. Across from him stood Kurt Angle, representing not only TNA, but the main event Mafia, who had been reborn earlier in the night with Batista's shocking defection. The tension was palpable. Angle wasn't just fighting for TNA anymore, he was fighting for power within the very world his company was about to lose. If he could defeat Punk and leave as a double champion, the entire narrative of victory would be turned upside down. Punk threw everything he had at Angle, but the Olympic gold medalist refused to break. Every counter, every takedown was targeted, as if Angle was wrestling to reclaim the pride of an entire company. The idea of a TNA World Champion holding both belts under the WWE banner, that's a situation nobody could have predicted at the start of the night. It's almost poetic. The event might technically belong to WWE, but Angle's fighting like the entire company's identity still hangs in the balance. And now, with Batista joining the main event Mafia earlier in the night, everything feels unstable. If Angle wins, that group suddenly controls everything: the TNA title, the World Heavyweight title picture, and the most dangerous roster of veterans in wrestling. For CM Punk, WWE might have conquered TNA, but the Mafia's rise tonight has made one thing clear: the company that won the war could still lose control of its throne before the night ends. In the end, Punk's sheer grit wasn't enough. Angle trapped him in the ankle lock, wrenching it more and more until Punk had no choice but to tap or snap. Kurt Angle stood tall, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and now the new Heavyweight Champion of WWE. On paper, WWE had won the war. The rosters, the titles, and the legacy of TNA had been absorbed. But as the show closed, the image told a different story. The main event Mafia standing on top of WWE's empire. Cross the Line ended not with closure, but with conquest. The brands had merged, but the war for power had only just begun.